Why are the UK and European economies doomed? Well, that might sound like clickbait, but it's not supposed to be, because in my last video, I tried to work out why the UK stock market was so subdued. And I came up with things like the inflation, the fact that the Bank of England decided to hold interest rates, the impact that has on jobs, unemployment and job vacancies, and all those kind of metrics that obviously tell us that the UK economy isn't going as well as we want it. And it's exactly the same for Europe. And their stock markets are just as subdued as ours. And it got me thinking, why is that? Why are our stock markets in Europe not doing so well? And I've had a good search and a good look. And by the way, I'm not a financial advisor or an economist, and anything in this video is just for fun and entertainment. And as I said, I've had a look at all these websites, and they could be fake websites for all I know. And I've tried to come up with a few reasons why Europe isn't doing so well, and potentially Europe's going to go backwards and be left behind by the rest of the world. As I mentioned, business confidence is really low, and that's in part due to the fact that Chinese economy is not doing so very well at all. And it turns out that the Chinese people are not buying European luxury goods. In particular, they're not buying German cars and German goods. And what that means is the German economy is slowed down a lot. Germany is the main economy of Europe. And when Germany slows down, it affects not only the EU countries, but also the UK. And what we're seeing is that Germany is shutting down their steel plants, much like the UK have done. And they're also shutting car factories, which is not something that they're ever used to doing. And that's having a really bad impact on the German economy, and with it, the rest of Europe. As well as that, both the UK and France have got a massive debt compared to their GDP. So the UK's borrowing and France's borrowing is so much so that they've got 100% mortgage, and the debt repayments on that mortgage are just unfathomable. And that's having a massive impact on both the economies of France and the UK, and not quite so much Germany, but it also has an impact there, and obviously the rest of Europe. Another thing that's not really mentioned or in the press or any of these economic websites that I've seen is the rise of the BRICS countries. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and the Middle East have all joined together to create a trading bloc known as BRICS. Well, that's okay in itself, but what's happened is these BRIC countries have developed their own digital currency. They've developed this digital currency called mBridge. They've tested it and they've proved that it works. And what that means is they can trade much more quickly and easily between each other using this digital currency. And to bolster that digital currency, what all these countries have done is started to buy gold. And you've seen the price of gold go right up because all these countries like China and Russia and the Saudi Arabia, etc., are buying gold like it's going out of fashion. And the reason they're doing that is to sell US dollars. So they're selling US dollars so that they can obviously try to launch this new digital currency. Not only are they getting out of the US dollar, but because Donald Trump's talking about putting tariffs on the rest of the world, if they've not got dollars, then they're going to be the impact of those tariffs are going to be less, and that will also push these countries to trade much more together and try to eliminate the US. They're not going to be able to do that, of course, because the US is such a massive economy. But that in itself is going to have a knock-on effect for the UK and Europe, because if China are trading much more Brazil and India and Russia, they're not going to be buying and selling goods from us in Europe. So that's definitely going to have an impact. And this mBridge digital currency, that's going to have an impact on us as well. And just thinking about that digital currency, if you've missed out on Bitcoin, it might be something for you to look into, because it could be something to buy into, and hopefully it goes up in value once it's launched. That might be something worth interesting. And the final thing is that obviously the one thing that's going to have the most direct impact, especially on the UK economy, is the national insurance hike in April. So in April, companies are going to be expected to pay an extra 1.2% national insurance on their earnings. So if you think about it, the average company makes about 10% profit. Let's assume. So this 1.2% profit is going to have an impact of wiping off 12% of any company's profit on average. And what that means is many companies in the UK in particular, or in the UK only, are going to potentially, it's going to be the difference between making a profit and a loss, or if they, and it could wipe out the profit of a lot of companies in the UK. So that's going to have a direct impact on the UK economy, and that's definitely going to have an impact on the UK stock market. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Obviously, yeah, I've turned into this person that was once interested in buying and selling shares up to the value of £200, and it's got me starting to think about the economy and how the economy works and all these things. And I started to think about, well, why are we taxing it? Why is the UK being taxed more and more? Why is our tax burden increasing? To me, it doesn't make any sense, because you shouldn't need to increase tax. What you should need to do is grow the economy and grow that tax through more trade and more profit, not tax the people that are already sort of being taxed, and tax them more and more and more. And they'll get to a point where you just can't do that anymore. And the stimulus of the economy has to happen. Yeah, so they're the things that I've come up with. One more thing that I've just remembered is that one thing that's coming down the line, and it's not and this is not political, by the way, and I'm not talking about any political party, but farming is going to have a massive hit of it's going to have a massive hit for the UK population. I'm not talking about inheritance tax, because that's going to have an impact 5, 10, 15 years down the line. But I'm talking about farming, and I'm possibly going to save that for another video, because that's going to have a huge impact on the UK economy in the next, I would say, in the next 12 to 18 to 24 months. And I've been looking into it, and I think it's going to have it's going to be interesting. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Sorry for rambling. I just wanted to get out some of my thoughts really about the economy and what's potentially coming down the line, and how that's going to impact the UK and the European economies, and why I think it's the future for Europe is really not looking good at all. Yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching. And if you like this video, why not give it a like? That'd be awesome. And if you want to follow along and hear more of these videos, then why don't you subscribe to the channel? That'd be pretty great if you did. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.